The last remnants of humanity had no illusions. Their colonies had been systematically erased, entire fleets destroyed, and planets sterilized to remove even the faintest trace of human existence. They had been hunted, cornered, and dismissed by a galaxy that believed it had eradicated them completely. The Exerillian Armada, one of the most fearsome war machines ever constructed, had crushed everything in its path. And now, only a handful of human ships remained, huddled near a dead star at the edge of a neglected sector, a place the galaxy deemed unworthy of attention. Admiral Tharvok, the alien general commanding the Exerillian forces, surveyed the situation from the bridge of his flagship, Dread Sovereign. His 4 eyes glittered with amusement, each reflecting the tiny human vessels orbiting the dying star. His multiple mandibles clicked softly in what the human translators would have interpreted as derision. "Pathetic," he hissed to his officers. "After all their supposed ingenuity, they amount to nothing. A few fragile ships, hiding like prey. They will burn, and the galaxy will celebrate the final extinction of humanity." He laughed. Then a harsh, resonant sound amplified through the hull. His officers mirrored the motionless arrogance of a species long accustomed to dominance. They did not yet understand what patience, endurance, and ingenuity could achieve. They had never faced humans under these circumstances, not really. Inside the cramped bridge of the human flagship Resolute, Captain Mara Cade observed the alien fleet calmly. Her crew moved with synchronized precision, checking shields, energy levels, and weapon systems, but there was no panic. There had never been panic. Humanity had survived annihilation before, against predators, cosmic phenomena, and the hubris of entire civilizations. This was merely another obstacle, one they had anticipated. The Resolute was a marvel of human engineering, a testament to centuries of adaptive ingenuity. Its hull, scarred from previous encounters, gleamed faintly under the glow of the dead star. Its energy fields pulsed rhythmically, synchronized with the ship's core, as if the vessel itself were alive. Every system was optimized for efficiency, survival, and counter-strategy. Mara knew her fleet was outnumbered. She did not care. The galaxy had underestimated humans before. They would not make the same mistake twice. "Sensors, report full fleet alignment, Captain." Her voice was calm, measured, precise. "Cerillian dreadnoughts are forming assault patterns. Weapons are primed. They will begin their attack in 2 minutes." Mara nodded slightly, a quiet smile touching her lips. "Let them come," she replied. Her voice, though soft, carried the weight of certainty that only a species tempered by millennia of adversity could possess. "They think they've cornered us. They think they've ended humanity. They're about to learn the truth." On the bridge of Dread Sovereign, Tharvok issued orders with confidence. "Position the flanking squadrons. Prepare the plasma lances. Engage hyperwave disruptors at full power. Nothing escapes the Armada today." He turned his attention back to the humans, still orbiting the dead star, and laughed again. "I will savor their fear when they realize that extinction is inevitable." But Mara had anticipated everything. She knew that Tharvok's arrogance was not just a flaw, it was an opportunity. The humans had survived countless attempts at annihilation. They had endured bombardments that would have vaporized other civilizations. They had outwitted fleets 10 times their size, survived predator species that could strip planets bare, and adapted to cosmic anomalies that defied physics. And they had learned patience. On board the Resolute, the crew monitored the Exerillian movements. The enemy's calculations were precise but predictable. They moved as if numbers alone guaranteed victory. Mara understood that their confidence was their weakness. She quietly tapped commands into the tactical interface, initiating defensive protocols that would maximize evasion while maintaining offensive readiness. Every crew member knew their role. Every maneuver had been drilled, refined, and perfected over decades. The human fleet was small, but it was agile. The ships could weave through the Exerillian attack vectors, dissipate energy waves, and adapt to weapon frequencies in real time. Mara did not intend to hide. She intended to survive, to teach the galaxy again why humans could never be dismissed. Time stretched as the fleets prepared for engagement. The dead star cast its cold light across the battlefield, shadows dancing along the hulls of human vessels, painting them in eerie silver. The vast expanse of space held its breath, waiting for the inevitable collision. And in that quiet, the humans were calm, almost serene. They had been cornered before, yet they had always found a way out. This would be no different. The first attack would come from the flanking squadrons. Plasma lances, photon torpedoes, and gravity disruptors streaked toward the human fleet, brilliant and deadly against the void. The Exerillians expected panic. They expected chaos. Instead, Mara's fleet danced. Shields pulsed, engines twisted in impossible arcs, and every human ship moved in coordination with the next as if guided by a single consciousness. Shots that should have obliterated them were rendered harmless by anticipation, by ingenuity, by the discipline of a species that refused to be erased. As the battle lines drew closer, Tharvok's laughter faltered. He could not understand it. Numbers, firepower, technology, everything he commanded should have guaranteed victory. Yet the humans moved in ways he could not predict, surviving strikes that would have obliterated lesser species, their tiny fleet maneuvering with intelligence that defied his calculations. And Mara, watching the enemy close in, allowed herself a faint smile. Humanity had survived extinction. Humanity had endured the impossible. And humanity would not die today. The stage was set. The cornered humans, underestimated for centuries, were about to show the galaxy what it meant to face a species that thrived on adversity, intelligence, and unyielding will. The aliens had laughed. Humanity had endured. And the universe was about to witness the full measure of human ingenuity. The silence of the dead star system shattered as the Exerillian armada surged forward. Thousands of vessels of every size, dreadnoughts bristling with energy cannons, agile frigates armed with gravity disruptors, and missile swarms humming with destructive force moved as one, their formation a deadly, living machine. Their target, the cornered remnants of humanity, the last defiance in a galaxy that had long assumed them extinct. Admiral Tharvok's voice resonated across the comm channels of his flagship. Dread Sovereign, focus fire. Engage all weapons simultaneously. Their ships will break within minutes. His multiple eyes glimmered with anticipation. Let them feel the might of the Exerillian armada. Across the void, the human fleet prepared. Captain Mara Cade stood at the command interface of Resolute, observing the advancing horde. Every sensor, every energy readout, every movement of the alien vessels was tracked and analyzed in real time. Human minds worked as one with their ships, predictive algorithms anticipating maneuvers not yet taken, energy fields adjusting instantaneously, engines calibrating to evade every incoming strike. Tactical Officer Reyna, plasma, lances, incoming, Captain. Trajectories calculated 32 possible impact vectors in the next 12 seconds. Mara, Cade. Evade along Vector 7. Synchronize shields with energy resonance. Ready, countermeasures on my mark. The Cerillian fleet unleashed its first wave. Plasma lances arced across space, beams of pure destructive energy aimed with lethal precision. Missile swarms streaked through the void, guided by AI so advanced it could track multiple evasive targets simultaneously. Gravity disruptors bent space near the humans, attempting to destabilize their fleet. And then the humans moved. The human ships twisted through space with impossible agility, engines firing in microbursts to dodge trajectories that no alien could predict. Shields pulsed rhythmically, adapting to the energy frequencies of incoming fire. Missiles detonated harmlessly at calculated distances. Dreadnought-class vessels slipped through openings that had never existed, reforming instantly into defensive formations. The Cerillians, confident in their overwhelming numbers and firepower, began to falter. Tharvok's mandibles clicked in disbelief. "Impossible," he shouted. "They should be destroyed. They cannot survive this." Human science officer. "Captain, enemy calculations indicate they underestimated us again. Our evasion patterns are predicted to succeed. All systems optimal." Maracade. "Then let's give them a demonstration." The humans did not counterattack immediately. Instead, they used the alien advance against them. Squadrons maneuvered to funnel the Cerillian ships into pre-calculated kill zones. Energy pulses destabilized alien shields before they could fire, while carefully timed maneuvers caused collisions among pursuing vessels. Small frigates darted between dreadnoughts, disrupting communications and coordination with precision strikes that left the Cerillians scrambling. For every attack the Cerillians launched, humanity had anticipated a solution. Every vector had been accounted for, every contingency prepared, every maneuver executed with flawless discipline. Ships moved as if guided by a single mind, adaptive and unyielding. The galaxy had assumed that only numbers, firepower, or advanced weaponry could defeat them, but humans relied on intellect, creativity, and foresight. On the dread sovereign, Tharvok's laughter had vanished. Panic flickered across the eyes of his officers as formations collapsed and attacks failed. Entire wings of the fleet were neutralized before they could inflict damage, the humans' precision striking fear into a species long used to dominance. "Tharvok, they cannot survive this. How?" "Officer, they are everywhere and nowhere at once, predicting our every move, Admiral." Mara, watching the battlefield, did not gloat. She did not need to. Humanity had survived, adapted, and outmaneuvered one of the galaxy's greatest war machines. And the final measure of their ingenuity had yet to be revealed. The humans had survived the first assault with no losses. The Cerillians, shocked and disoriented, had begun to realize that brute force alone would not win this war. The galaxy had always underestimated humans, assuming that extinction or suppression would end them. But as plasma fire fizzled harmlessly against adaptive shields and missile swarms were rendered ineffective before launch, the truth became undeniable. Humans were not just surviving, they were demonstrating mastery over war itself. And in the calm, calculating gaze of Captain Mara Cade, the Exirians would soon learn something far worse. Survival was only the beginning. The battle raged above the dead star, yet the humans had not revealed their full strength. Mara Cade watched the Cerillian fleet strain against evasive maneuvers, their confidence beginning to falter. The alien general believed they were cornered and on the verge of annihilation, but he had no idea that humanity's true weapon had yet to be deployed. The barren planet in the system, a lifeless rock orbiting the dying sun, concealed humanity's ultimate safeguard, the planet killer. Not a crude weapon of destruction, but a marvel of human ingenuity, engineered to manipulate stellar energy and planetary cores with precision. Its purpose was not vengeance, but survival, a reminder to the galaxy that humans, underestimated for millennia, had never relied on brute force alone, they relied on intellect. On the bridge of the Resolute, Mara activated the command interface. Every system synced in perfect harmony, the crew operating with the calm efficiency of a species tempered by centuries of near extinction. Science officer. Planet core resonance stable, Captain. Energy containment fields holding. Weapon is ready. Mara Cade. Engage on my mark. Timing is everything. We give them no chance to react. Below decks, engineers monitored the device's hum, a soft vibration that resonated throughout the planet's crust. Power conduits pulsed with increasing intensity, harnessing the latent energy of the planet itself. The humans had spent decades perfecting the system, studying cosmic physics, and designing a weapon that could annihilate a fleet without harming human lives. It was precise, adaptive, and terrifying in its potential. In orbit, the Exarillion dreadnoughts advanced. Tharvok's arrogance had returned momentarily. "Prepare to crush them," he commanded. "They are cornered. Their survival is impossible. Let them see the futility of resistance." The humans waited, silent, letting the aliens draw near. Every vessel in Mara's fleet moved with calm calculation, adjusting shields and engines in anticipation of the inevitable assault. They did not panic. They did not falter. Humanity thrived in adversity, and adversity had been their tutor for millennia. Then Mara pressed the final sequence. The barren planet's core ignited with controlled fury, releasing a surge of energy that rippled across space in a wave of cosmic force. Xyrillian sensors detected anomalies but interpreted them as malfunctions. By the time their calculations recognized the scale, it was too late. Energy cascades erupted, destabilizing shields, overloading weapon systems, and fracturing hulls with surgical precision. Entire squadrons disintegrated in the blink of an eye, while Mara's fleet remained untouched, shielded by adaptive fields and carefully calculated vectors. Tharvok's laughter faltered, replaced by disbelief. "Impossible. This cannot be. They should be destroyed." How can they? The Resolute and accompanying ships glided through the aftermath as if observing a storm from safety. No human ship was damaged, no crew lost. The Exarillion fleet, once confident and overwhelming, was now fractured, disoriented, and terrified. Mara Cade overcomes. You believed us cornered. You believed humanity was weak. You were wrong. We survive. We adapt. And we endure. For the first time, the Exarillions felt the weight of their miscalculation. They had laughed at humans, assumed extinction had erased them, and now faced a species capable of weaponizing stellar forces with surgical precision. Humanity had not only survived, they had evolved into a force the galaxy could neither predict nor contain. Across the void, alien fleets struggled to regroup. Their formations had been shattered, their confidence broken, and their pride wounded. Humanity had delivered a message far more powerful than words or conventional firepower. Underestimate them at your peril. Mara allowed herself a moment of quiet reflection. The humans had survived millennia of near eradication, outwitted fleets thousands of times their size, and now demonstrated the full measure of their ingenuity. The Exerilians had laughed, but humanity had shown them the meaning of patience, precision, and unyielding intelligence. The planet killer had not merely destroyed it, it had revealed a species whose strength lay not in numbers or size, but in intellect, adaptability, and the unshakable will to survive. The galaxy would remember this lesson, whether it wanted to or not. The barren planet had begun to hum with a controlled, terrifying resonance, its crust pulsing with energy that defied conventional physics. From orbit, the Exerilian dreadnoughts advanced, confident in their overwhelming numbers, unaware that every maneuver had already been anticipated. Tharok's eyes gleamed with arrogance. Finish them. Strike, now. Their end is inevitable. Captain Mara Cade remained calm on the bridge of Resolute. Every system in the fleet synced with the planet killer's energy fields. Engines, shields, weapons, and sensors operated as extensions of the human will. For millennia, humans had survived predators, cosmic catastrophes, and civilizations that sought their annihilation. They had endured, learned, and adapted, and now they would demonstrate why humanity could never be underestimated. Science, officer. Planet energy resonance is optimal. Weapons systems ready, Captain. Mara Cade. Engage. Focus the energy wave on Xerillian formations. Maximum precision, minimum collateral. Let them see the cost of underestimating humans. The planet erupted in controlled fury. Energy cascades rippled across the void like a storm made tangible. Cerillian shields overloaded instantly, hulls fractured under stress, entire squadrons vaporized before they could react. Missile swarms detonated prematurely. Gravity disruptors collapsed under the shockwave. Fleet formations broke apart, leaving chaos where order had reigned moments before. Tharok's laughter died as horror replaced amusement. Impossible. This cannot be. They cannot wield such power. Our calculations, our strategies, they are meaningless. The human fleet glided through the destruction with calm precision. Not a single vessel was lost. No life was harmed. The humans' actions were deliberate, controlled, and utterly efficient, a reminder that intelligence, not brute force, was their deadliest weapon. Mara Cade overcomes. You thought we were weak. You thought we were predictable. You thought humanity could be erased. You were wrong. Across the battlefield, the surviving Exerillian ships scrambled, attempting evasive maneuvers, but it was too late. Their formations had been shattered, their confidence destroyed, and their arrogance thoroughly humiliated. Every calculation they had relied on failed against a species that thrived on adaptability and ingenuity. Even as destruction raged around them, their intent was clear: demonstrate dominance without recklessness, teach the galaxy a lesson it could not ignore. The Exerillian fleet limped away, battered and disoriented, carrying with it a terrifying new understanding. Humanity was no longer the species they remembered. Humanity had returned stronger, smarter, and far more dangerous than any enemy had imagined. For the first time, the galaxy saw that humans did not merely survive, they mastered survival itself. They did not rely on overwhelming numbers, overwhelming firepower, or unthinking aggression. They relied on foresight, intelligence, and the ability to adapt to the impossible. The Exerillians had laughed. Humanity had answered, and the universe had changed forever. Mara allowed herself a moment of quiet reflection. She looked across the stars, calm and resolute, the embodiment of a species that had survived extinction, conquered adversity, and reclaimed its place in the galaxy. Humanity had survived the impossible, and now it had reminded the galaxy why it could never, ever be underestimated. The battlefield fell silent. Where once the Exerillian armada had bristled with overwhelming force, now only drifting wreckage remained. Smoke and energy plumes from destroyed ships lingered against the backdrop of distant stars. The humans' fleet, unscathed and precise, glided through the void with calm assurance. Not a single life lost. Not a single vessel damaged. Humanity had once again proven the galaxy wrong. On board the Resolute, Captain Mara Cade surveyed the aftermath. Crew members moved methodically, cataloging the destroyed alien vessels and monitoring remaining threats. There was no celebration, no gloating. Humans had never thrived on destruction for its own sake. Their power lay in mastery, control, strategy, and the ability to survive when all odds seemed insurmountable. Science officer. Captain, the Exerillian survivors are retreating. All systems reporting. No damage sustained in our fleet. Mara Cade? Good. Humanity is not weak. Humanity is not predictable. Humanity cannot be erased. Far across the galaxy, transmissions recorded the events. Worlds that had long dismissed humanity now watched in awe and fear. Scholars, fleet commanders, and politicians struggled to comprehend what had occurred. Entire civilizations realized that the species they had laughed at, the species they assumed extinct, had returned stronger, smarter, and utterly unstoppable. In one Xerillian command chamber, General Tharvok sat in stunned silence. His mandibles clicked in agitation, his eyes wide in disbelief. They survived, and his words trailed off as the enormity of his failure became clear. Every assumption, every calculation, every plan had been undone by a species that thought differently, adapted faster, and endured beyond expectation. Across multiple sectors, alien fleets began to retreat or reassess their strategies. No species had ever faced a force like humanity, a species whose ingenuity and persistence transcended the conventional rules of warfare. To challenge them was to court annihilation. To underestimate them was to guarantee it. Back on the Resolute, Mara activated long-range sensors and surveyed the surrounding star systems. Abandoned human outposts, long thought lost, blinked online as communications relays came to life. Humanity was returning not for conquest, not for revenge, but to reclaim its place among the stars. Mara Cade, voiceover. The galaxy thought we were gone. It thought extinction had claimed us. But we endured. We adapted. We returned. And the universe will never forget that humanity survives and thrives against all odds. The human fleet moved on, silently, efficiently reclaiming lost worlds, stabilizing systems, and demonstrating that survival was more than existence, it was mastery. Humanity had unleashed power that no empire could fully comprehend, wielded intelligence that no strategy could counter, and proven that the species once thought cornered and weak had returned to the galaxy stronger than ever. The Exerillians had laughed. Humanity had answered, and the galaxy had learned an unforgettable truth. Humans were clever, resilient, and unstoppable. Stars stretched endlessly before the fleet, a canvas for human ingenuity, endurance, and strategy. The cornered survivors had become a force that would define the cosmos for generations. And as Mara looked to the horizon of distant suns, she knew humanity's story had only just begun. The galaxy would never underestimate humans again.